What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, episode 48 tonight. I believe 48 is correct. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Kellen. With me tonight, Tim and Ron. Say hi, guys.
Hey guys, how's it going? Tim here.
Hey, this is Ron.
Ronald.
Yep, Ron is back. So on tonight's episode, we want to talk about, well, the fact that we're pretty sure the Galaxy S5 is coming on February 24th. Samsung announced an event in Barcelona. I believe it's the day before Mobile World Congress starts. And then they are also doing something stateside for media that's not going there. And Tim and I will be at that. So Tim and I will be at the unveiling of the S5. And, you know, I guess we could sort of say maybe it's not the Galaxy S5, maybe it is, but it's called Unpacked 5. It's going to be the Galaxy S5, right? I mean, there's no doubt in our minds, is there?
It has to be.
I don't know what else it could be, right?
Yeah, I'm so sure of myself that it's Galaxy S5. Like, I mean, they got the 5 on there. Why would they go away from that? I mean, that's how they are known. So that would be like if Apple changed the name of the iPhone. You just can't do that.
You just can't do it.
It's against the rules.
Yeah. So we're almost positive, though obviously
Nothing is confirmed.
yeah, they haven't confirmed that or anything like that. But so that's February 24th. I believe it's 2 p.m. Eastern on the 24th. There's a live stream, so everyone can follow along. It's like youtube.com/Samsung Mobile, I believe, is the URL. So everybody can watch it. Obviously, these are big events. And what did New York Times today, Tim? They said something like, this is going to be really toned down. There's no Broadway show this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently they're just cutting pretty much all the BS. Samsung is really just going to focus more on the device and making it, you know, just a better phone and not so much gimmickry. I guess I could, yeah, I'd go for that word. But either way, gimmickry.
Ron approves. You're good.
Yes. And so with less gimmickry, it appears that Samsung's going to be cutting down on bloatware. And, you know, as I stated in the post that I wrote up, kind of like a rumor roundup or whatever, this could have to do with Google, you know, kind of telling Samsung, hey, would you mind cutting down on the crapware a little bit? And apparently Samsung said, okay, for some odd reason, even though they've invested so much into making their own ecosystem now. It's going to be very interesting. I'm very, you know, who knows how far Samsung's willing to tone it down, you know, because, again, they have invested a lot of money and research and development into all these apps that they've created. So,
well, the thing that everyone has to remember, too, is Samsung has sold millions and millions and millions and millions of devices with all of this add-on feature junk crapware that we hate, but somebody must like it or they wouldn't keep creating it, I would imagine. So I also don't know that I fully expect them to cut anything really out of this phone. I think this Google-Samsung deal, I don't know that we'll see much. Maybe, yeah, like a Note 4 or something, or maybe even into the next year. But, you know, product lines are done sometimes a year, 2 years in advance, you know, while we build up to them. So.
Well, a lot of that stuff are just app add-ons that could easily be taken out ahead of a launch. Like Chat-On, I mean, you could just uninstall.
Yeah, that's true.
So there are a lot of those apps. What other things?
Kind of. You got to push that to their like whole-end devices though, which are probably like if they're gonna launch anytime close to after the event, like that stuff's probably already been imaged and everything. That'd be a big deal to change that now.
Well, I'm not saying that this is, you know, what's gonna happen. I'm just saying, I mean, it's possible that there is less bloatware or whatever on this device than we've previously seen. That's all. I mean, and who knows how long Samsung and Google were in the talk, you know, to do less bloatware or anything like that. Yeah. That could have been announced way past whenever they finally came to an agreement or blah, blah, blah. We just don't know.
Well, in this most recent story, it was mostly about them coming to a final agreement specifically with cross-licensing patents and things like that. But I actually wrote a story about Google and Samsung and specifically like
you did?
Yeah, lording over them back in February.
Where? Oh, okay. Where?
So it was literally a year ago that we first started hearing like rumors about Google maybe strong-arming Samsung about this, and so now we finally seen another story about this, and so yeah, it was actually kind of annoying because it's like, oh, actually, like I was getting ready to write a post, and I was like, oh wait, I wrote this a year ago, and literally nothing's changed. It's all the exact same things, and I like outlined all the stuff that I would have said anyway.
Yeah.
So specifically about like Google, like Google's got all the power. It's not Samsung. It doesn't matter how many devices they sell. They can't, like, they don't have any other options. They've got to stick with Google.
Well, regardless of whether this phone is filled with crap, it will be nice to see them, tone it down in terms of unveiling a phone with like Broadway and drama and theater and all.
Yeah.
It's just so unnecessary, especially when, have you ever seen Apple do anything of that ridiculous, extreme? Like, that's just so silly.
They used
And
to.
it well, I wasn't around back then, but as an Android phone, it embarrasses me to see Samsung do that stuff. And then, of course, it always bites them in the ass, because then the next day someone's like, oh, that was sexist, or something they did was offensive, blah, blah, blah. It's easier just to cut it out, release the phone, give us a good phone, and that's all you should really be focusing on.
Yeah.
See, I kind of wish they would do a bit, not a Broadway spectacle, but I don't know, it's just something so ridiculous that we didn't even talk about the phone afterwards. We talked about how ridiculous their whole Broadway thing was.
Yeah.
Not that I want to do that again, but I kind of like it that maybe I don't even really like it. I think I just want them to do something shocking, because they did something shocking last year, rather than just another, hey, here's a press event, here's a phone, here it is. I don't know.
Can definitely probably expect more than just a, hey, here's the phone. Homeboy with his
bald
big
British
white
guy,
glasses is going to be on there. Like, he's confirmed. So, even without being
completely
confirmed.
Unfortunate. Yeah, I really don't know that I like that guy, and I have no idea who that guy is still to this day.
Yeah, no idea. He's the MC, apparently. He's like Wavy Gravy of like the 2013 Woodstock. So, either way.
Well, and it could be too that when it's in that report where it's referencing that things are going to be toned down. Like, I think that's hopefully something that's like Kellen, you were saying, like, you don't even know how many people, like, apparently people like them because people keep buying Samsung phones. But I'm not like Samsung phones have become like, that's like the default Android phone. I don't think people are buying them necessarily because of those features. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if most Galaxy S4 and S3 owners even weren't aware of half the stuff that's on there.
Agreed.
So I think most people just, I mean, the fact that a lot of people that were using early Samsung phones left the font on Comic Sans tells me that they're not looking around that much. So,
amen. Preach it, Ron.
So
the only thing I would say is that while they have 50 gimmicky features on every phone, right? But they do highlight a handful of them in all of their commercials, and then you see, Nokia or some of these other people mock that stuff. So I'd imagine some of the gimmicky stuff people do probably use, but there's so much, I can't imagine anyone dives into even a quarter of that. I mean, we try to review these things, and we can't even touch on half of the stuff they put out there. So.
Right. No. Yeah. So and some of it we've talked about before, has like a definite benefit, like, for example, on the Note 3, like having the, what do they call that, S window, where you can have like part of an app. What do they call that?
The multi-window? You're talking about part. Oh, you're talking about.
I know you're talking
like
about.
having a window, like part of an app on top. Yeah.
You draw the square on the Note. I have no idea what it's called.
Which is pretty sweet.
When you've got a screen that size, like, I think it makes sense there, and especially like extrapolating that onto a tablet where we don't really have a great UI for having multiple apps open. Like, I think that's a decent way of doing that, and giving you a little bit of control. We haven't really seen anybody do that well. So, I mean, there's definitely, not all of the stuff that they do is gimmickry, but a lot of it is.
A lot of it definitely is. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. February 24th is, less than 3 weeks now, right? Less than 3 weeks, something like that. So, that's soon. There was rumors that it was going to happen right before MWC, but Samsung, for the last couple of years has avoided big press conferences. I mean, avoided big corporate event. What am I trying to say? Like CES. Not events.
Conference.
There we go.
There's that word.
Avoided big tech conferences and sort of done their own thing. Like last year, they waited till after MWC and then did this big event. In NYC in March or whenever it was. So it's kind of interesting to see them go back doing it right before MWC. But they're doing it. It's coming up soon, and we'll be there to see what happens. Hopefully, we see some toning back.
Real quick, I just wanted to touch on. I mean, a lot of things have changed. Well, not really. I mean, rumors have changed. I mean, apparently, this phone we were expecting a QHD display.
Quad HD, by the way.
For anyone who's like, it's a capital Q.
Capital Q. Yeah.
And lowercase q for anyone who wants to be politically correct. And
I remember seeing when I first saw it, I was like, "Really? They're going to do a low resolution display?"
It's like 2560 by 1440. But either way, and according to New York Times, who has a source who was briefed on the specs for the S5, is that they're not going to be doing QHD, and so they're going to stick to 1080p. We were thinking that there was going to be a Retina scanner, and now apparently there's not going to be a Retina scanner. There was a case leak, and there was no slots for the fingerprint scanner, but then everyone's like, yeah, but the fingerprint scanner is going to be in the screen.
Oh, and yeah, so, that was another rumor. Yeah.
So who really knows, you know? But it just goes to show. I mean, New York Times. That's a source that I would usually tend to probably believe more so than Mundar or whoever else is like
Eldar.
Mundar. Sorry, bro.
Just as good. Yeah.
Yeah, but either way. It just goes to show, we really don't know what's going on until we know
much less who's saying what.
Exactly. Well, when you're me, you just don't even have time to pay attention. So.
Yeah, get out of here, Mundar.
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 As soon as I said it, I knew it sounded wrong. I was like, oh, fuck it,
it's so funny, though. So funny. Yeah, so the spec thing has been kind of all over the board, right? Yeah, like you said, you wrote that up. New York Times says no on the Quad HD, but haven't we seen benchmarks and some other stuff that show
We've seen benchmarks, plenty of sources. I thought even EvLeaks has like tweeted stuff about the QHD stuff. And
I think so too. So New York Times could have no idea what they're talking about, is what we're saying.
It's possible, but those benchmarks could be from anything else, or
it could be.
Who knows?
It could very well be.
Yeah.
And we don't know if it's plastic or a metal frame or whatever, right?
I guess we really don't know anything.
Yeah, so Samsung's become really good at keeping this stuff pretty secret. Obviously, some of the stuff leaks, but for the most part, they're the best at keeping this stuff secret, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to be announcing the device here in about 2.5 weeks or what have you, give or take, clearly the device is out in the hands of testers and people, industry people, and clearly they got those people on lockdown because we haven't seen any pictures or anything. HTC can't keep a phone secret to save their lives.
No, they
can't.
While
Samsung is massive and they can lock stuff up. So it's pretty great. Good on you, Samsung.
Good on you, Samsung. Well, it should be fun. Whatever they do is always a big deal anyway, even if it's not on Broadway. So
yes,
should be fun to see what happens. And yeah, we'll have obviously massive coverage during that whole time. That's a Monday, by the way. February 24th is a Monday.
Monday.
Yeah. Kind of nice that they're doing it at 2 p.m. too. I think last year's Broadway thing was in the evening, and I don't think like anyone should have to take time out of their evening to watch a Samsung press event. So now they could do it during work.
Yep. As they should.
Yeah. So timely announcement from LG within hours of Samsung announcing the date for the Galaxy S5. They announced that the G Pro 2 camera has OIS Plus and some other things. I just think it's so comical that I don't think people believe us, but every time Samsung announces something, LG goes, "Well, we're doing something. Look at us." I know that's just part of the game, I guess, but thought that was funny.
Perfect timing. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Definitely not a coincidence. All right, so do you want to talk about all this HTC stuff that you just hinted at, Tim?
Yeah, for sure.
So we had a picture this morning that showed dual cameras on the back of a phone, and that was a rumor from, I believe, Bloomberg had that a week or two ago, said that the HTC M8, 1, 2, 1 Plus, whatever we're calling this thing, will have twin sensors, is how they put it. So then this picture surfaces through a Russian HTC fan site or something on Twitter, and I don't know if you guys saw, but an HTC executive this afternoon or something, or this morning, said someone's been photoshopping or something. He mentioned that on Twitter. Everyone assumed he was talking about this twin sensor phone. So we have no idea if it's real or fake, right? And then later this afternoon, we got two pictures reportedly of the front of the device. And we have no idea if it's real or fake. It's probably fake. I would just say that if it's real, let's just say I hope it's real. I'll say that because it looks amazing. Did you guys look at those new pictures of the front of this whatever device?
Certainly, I looked at it.
This definitely photoshopped device.
No, not at all. That is so legit. Legit.
Wow.
It doesn't get much more legit.
Legit. Yeah, I mean, there's almost zero chance, right, that these things are real. I just like the look of them. So whoever did this, put this together, they should go work for HTC, I think, because they took
As a
the
designer.
design of the one and then made the screen completely edge to edge, so there's not those giant bezels that we had on the one. And then they put on-screen buttons that apparently can disappear or something like that. But it looks beautiful. It looks like a beat-up old black HTC One with the screen stretched out to the edges. I just want it to become true.
You'll have to excuse me for not knowing this, but since I don't have an HTC One, I don't know what the UI... Did the UI change, like, from green bars or whatever to white bars when it was updated to KitKat? Because that doesn't... I mean, so EvLeak said that the M8 will look strikingly familiar to the M7. You know, so to see a phone that has edge-to-edge, you know, less top and bottom bezel with on-screen keys or buttons, doesn't surprise me at all. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, this could be legit. You see transparent notification bar, you know, that would come with KitKat. So was Sense changed when the HTC One was upgraded to KitKat?
I should know that because I have one in my closet right behind me, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wouldn't believe it so much if I had never seen that notification bar before, but I've never seen that notification bar. So
I'm Googling now, although I don't know that I'm going to find anything.
Yeah, I always try Googling that stuff.
I think I was going to do a hands-on with it and then went, there's really nothing new.
Yeah. Sense has a way of doing that.
I found a YouTube video.
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be an ad. Oh, of course. Oh, I can skip in 5 seconds. Anyway, so you can keep talking about this fake render or fake picture if you want.
Well, see, I don't think
potentially fake picture.
Potentially fake. It could
Definitely
be fake
picture.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, sure, it could be, but I'm just going to say I hope it's not.
The buttons
because I
just
think
disappear?
It's really sexy. Dude, there could be like some type of swipe down feature.
No, there's not. No.
Why not?
Why would you want that?
Why wouldn't you not
I
want that? It doesn't make sense to not have the option to hide them if you want, kind of like an immersive mode or whatever. Say, okay.
Did you say it doesn't make sense to not have the option?
Yeah. A double negative. So the thing is, say when you're on the home screen, this guy's on the home screen, clearly. Why would you need a back button right there? You know, why would you need any of that? If you could just say long press on the little home icon or the, you know, app drawer or something, you know, to make some functionality work. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's not crazy to think that the nav buttons could be hidden or swipe down or something like that, you know? I mean, you never know.
I just hope that's not the case, because you would find yourself swiping down and hiding them all the time, and it would be really
frustrating. And the resolution of your screen would have to change dynamically, like as you're doing that.
Which it does in the screen.
Yeah.
Screenshots, like it totally moves up and doesn't stretch. Like the wallpaper just stretches rather than Okay, so I found a video that I think is the one running KitKat, and well, I see a centered clock, which I think is weird, in the notification bar. And the battery's still green, though. I don't know. I guess I could pull the one out and boot it up right now if you really want me to. I had it out earlier, too.
Well, I mean, you don't have to right now. But...
So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I just hope that this is what HTC ends up doing with it, other than the hidden navigation buttons. I don't like that.
Yeah, okay.
Look at this thing, though.
I think you mean botched Photoshop job is what you mean.
It's a great-looking phone. You know, it actually happens to look kind of shallower than the HTC One. I feel as if the HTC One would stick up off that table a little bit more, and this one doesn't seem to be casting much of a shadow.
No, it looks like it's flat on the back.
Yeah, it does, right? A little bit. So either way, I hope it's real. Everyone's saying it's probably not, but I'm just going to be an optimist, and because I pray that HTC doesn't go bankrupt this year, and I think that this phone might be able to save them just a teeny bit.
Oh.
I just don't think there's anything I can say. HTC's going to get bought. Somebody's going to buy them for something.
Google's going to buy them, and then in 18 months they're going to sell them to Lenovo.
Yeah, they don't have any. They don't have any patents.
I was going to say HTC doesn't own a patent. They've been getting killed by Nokia.
Yeah.
Poor guys.
That's all right though. Just imagine, like somebody could buy HTC and then you could put Sense like on a computer or something.
You know, and the other thing about the pictures that we saw earlier today, and if the executive was pointing towards those being the ones that were photoshopped or whatever, we've seen other back shots, of the back plate itself, featuring that dual camera little cutout or whatever. I mean, so that's really nothing new, and it wouldn't surprise me for an exec to try and like backtrack or or try and cover it up, and say, oh, it's just Photoshop, to try and keep any type of surprise that they might possibly have. But I think
what use would there be to have the dual cameras though?
They made the Evo 3D.
That was a striking success.
Yeah, well, they haven't really gone uphill since then. So I mean, what's
just screw it all?
What do we
put 4 cameras on there?
What are you trying to do? If we have to use
quad camera, it really is the ultra pixel 4 megapixel quad.
Each sensor has 4 megapixels.
Yeah. If we can only afford to put 4 megapixel sensors in there, then we might as well try and put 2 of them in. Maybe it'll help with an HDR type thing. Who knows? I mean, they're just trying, whatever. Go for it. Go for broke.
Yeah, so, they need to do something real great. Yes. I don't know how HTC can come back at this point. I really have no idea. They're so far. They're losing. So like Motorola was losing money, and then Google bought them, and they still were losing money. Yeah, and they were still losing money. So I don't know if you guys saw the final employee head count for Motorola. It was down from like 40,000 to like 3,000 or something. So they not only got rid of all of their staff, and they were still losing money. So HTC, somebody could buy them, and it.
But who would even want to buy them?
I don't.
I think they make
all
really
the Chinese companies
hardware.
apparently are ready to do this thing.
Well, wasn't there a rumor that Amazon was talking about buying them?
That would be interesting.
That'd be kind of cool.
Sort of. That could be okay, because HTC still makes good hardware. They just
their hardware is good. It's just they bombed in the market altogether.
Yeah.
So
maybe Amazon could buy them.
And Amazon's hardware hasn't been phenomenal so far, but especially if they want to enter the phone market, that would give them a manufacturer that makes good hardware and just couldn't make it.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Then they could sell the hell out of it at really cheap and. Exclusive.
Boom. You're welcome.
That was easy.
Ron is back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's going on with the HTC M8. By the way, we still don't have any idea what the official name will be, at all. And that's going to be fun to see.
It's going to be the one-up. Confirmed.
There you go.
The HTC Mate. Tim, you want to talk about Galaxy Gear 2, if anyone wants?
Yeah, real quickly, just because the New York Times posted a kind of further, helps folks think that a Galaxy Gear 2 is going to be coming. We've reported on that before from other rumors that Galaxy Gear 2 is coming alongside the Galaxy S5, and apparently New York Times believes so. So I just wanted, I was curious. I know Ron may not have he might have a pretty good answer, but I was just curious as to what Samsung could do to make the Galaxy Gear 2 a little bit more desirable in the eyes of consumers in general. So, Ron,
sell it for $150.
So for a little bit cheaper, you think?
Give it away for free when you buy a Galaxy S4.
Make it look good.
S5, I mean. Yeah, make it look good for Ron.
Yeah.
Sell it in. I have no idea. I don't know what they could do. The first one was so bad. They could almost
have a crazy proprietary charger.
Yeah, let it work with phones outside of their own Galaxy line.
Yeah.
that
and including phones that they just launched like a month before.
Right. Yeah, I mean they need to completely redo the entire thing. It's sort of crazy to think that they released a product and within 6 months, not even 6 months, right? It's basically gone and they're creating a new one. That's how poorly designed, built, thought out that was.
Yeah, well, and I think the big thing, like when that first commercial that came out, everybody got like super the first one, like showing like people talking into wristwatches, that very, very first one, not the soccer one. Like everybody lauded it as a great commercial. Everybody also said it was basically a copy of Apple's first iPhone commercial, which there are a lot of similarities. But it was a really good ad. And like I think like Samsung's always done great advertising, and so through that they can push numbers. So like they can make sales happen. But I think their biggest mistake was probably making the Gear, like trying to pump too many features into that thing and trying to make it like trying to put in apps, and the reality is like if they can do something that works like that is simple, that looks nice, and that works like on par or better than Pebble, like they'll be set. Like that's the competition right now is Pebble. Like nobody else in the smartwatch space is doing anything anywhere near the volume that Pebble is. So, I think and the success of the Pebble I think is pretty clearly because it's dirt simple. Like it does a few things, and the things that it does really well. And they're expanding on that with the App Store and all that. Which that still hasn't launched on Android, right?
Nope. There's a beta version.
Right, but for developers only, right?
Yeah. Apparently, you can sort of sign up to be one or something and download it yourself.
You guys haven't played with it at all, then, right? Well, no. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's good. But getting back to the gear, like I think they need to come back to this thing with something that's really simple that works across on phones. Like have it it doesn't need to having
doesn't have a giant nipple.
Yeah, I don't need a camera on there. I don't need a crazy proprietary charger. Most importantly, it should be something that men and women are going to want to wear, and something they're going to want to wear regularly. It's got to have good battery life. I shouldn't, if I have to charge it every night, that's going to be a big deterrent for people. That's the big thing. I think the reason why Apple was able to break into the smartphone space is because they didn't have things in the iPhone that all the other phones had. And in fact, there were a lot of things that were missing for a long time that had been in other ones, that had been in Windows Mobile and what was that called? What was Palm's thing called? I don't remember anymore.
I have no idea.
But yeah, I only think of WebOS now, and that's dead. So whatever came before that, like copy paste, basic things just weren't in there. But they made a phone that was dramatically better in very specific ways, and it was simple and did a few things. There weren't apps or anything else like that. That's how you break into a product category and then build off of there. And if they're able to do something that's simple, that people like, that just works, the things that it does really well. That's how you break into there and then build off of that. And I think that was their biggest mistake, because they just tried to turn it. They tried to make a smartphone at that size, and there's a reason why there aren't smartphones that size. You have input issues, and you have processing issues, and you have battery issues.
Yeah, I mean, I have issues, inputting on my phone sometimes. The last thing I want to do is try to do it on a tinier screen and all that stuff. So.
No, and that's the big. I think if Samsung or Apple or Google or whoever, I think the big thing is going to be figuring out either how to do input well, which I don't think is possible, or how to implement notifications and things like that in a way where input isn't really required, and changing people's expectations of what they want out of a smartwatch. I think everybody just keeps thinking, oh, I want a small, tiny little phone, but the reality is that experience sucks. You want something different than that, and so hopefully as they're doing research and working on this, they can figure out how to do things simply. So if they come out with something that looks better than the Pebble Steel, same price range, and works with all their Android phones and other Android phones, that's going to sell. So that's the goal to hit. And I think a company Samsung size should be able to compete really, really well with Pebble, and put out 2 different versions. Here's one for women. Here's one for men. Design, get some designers in there so that's something that people want to wear all the time. It's hard work, but that's what they need to do instead of trying to slam everything into it. That just doesn't work. It never does.
Yeah, they definitely got to learn a lot over the last few months with all the feedback from the original Galaxy Gear. I mean, people just trashed on every single thing about it for the most part. I think there was one good review, and I think the person wrote a good review just because he wanted to be the one good review. So they have so much feedback that they should take and be able to make, you would think, a decent smartwatch. But we'll see. I mean, people have been trashing on their plastic builds and stuff like that for a long time, and that's still there. So hopefully the watch is different, because the Galaxy Gear also felt different than a lot of their products. I know you didn't like the look of it, but the feel of it was definitely a lot more premium feeling. The materials they used and stuff, and the metal face, and some of that stuff than their phone. So it's kind of a different look in general. So I don't know who the product team is for the Galaxy Gear, but yeah, they got some work to do. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I have some doubts that they can implement that in a year.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of work to do something like that.
It could just be the same gear with different software. And slightly better battery or something. They might tweak a couple things, but they've already got all the shells built, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk quickly. AT&T over, I believe it was over the weekend. Yeah, Super Bowl weekend. They announced these new family plans for 10 gigabytes of data. They're not terrible deals. So AT&T is essentially reacted, if you will, to what T-Mobile did by making you go off contract in a way, and buying phones through monthly payment plans, and then then you don't have a contract, you just have a monthly service bill, and they sort of separated those two. That whole subsidy cost we talked about a lot. So AT&T's essentially reacted to T-Mobile doing that, and they're now doing it. And they announced these new family plans where you can get 10 gig of data, and then depending on how many lines you get. I'm sorry, I'm looking at it right now to find out the prices. So you could do what they're trying to sell is 4 lines at $160 for a family, and that gives you unlimited talk and text plus 10 gigs of data. Verizon's comparable plan is like $260, but that's because Verizon obviously builds in that subsidy cost, so pretty significant discount there. If you compare it to T-Mobile's, I think they're similar, though T-Mobile just does family plans kind of different anyway, and I think kind of terribly. So AT&T's plans, actually, this family plan to me doesn't look that bad. If you just look at the numbers, just keep in mind that the only way you're actually saving money is if you already own a phone and it's paid off and you attach it. Otherwise, they're going to get you into AT&T Next, and you're going to be paying $20 a month for a phone, and then your bill's essentially the same price it was beforehand. So, but if you have your own device or you pick one up for cheap, like a Nexus 5 or something, it's actually not a bad deal. So that happened. It's just I just find it fascinating to watch AT&T react to everything that T-Mobile does. I didn't think they would do it this quickly, but they are. So
it's pretty fantastic.
It is. I mean, we all talked about for years how much we hated 2-year contracts, right? And you can get into AT&T or T-Mobile now and not sign a 2-year contract if you want to, which is kind of a big deal. Verizon's still obviously holding out on that, but you do have 2 options. And at this point, if you're into buying new technology all the time, new phones, that sort of thing, T-Mobile or AT&T are probably the carriers you should choose anyway, because almost all phones work on their networks, unlike Verizon. So something to keep in mind. Industry is sort of changing in a weird way.
Freaking A.
Yeah. All right, so Google released the Chromecast SDK finally. It's open to developers. All developers who have an app that want Chromecast compatibility built in, or the little cast button built in, can do that. So I would imagine over the next couple of weeks, we're going to see a flood of apps that all have Chromecast built in, which is cool.
Does that mean I can cast like my games to my TV?
I don't think we know that fully yet, but I would sort of say
yes.
No.
Huh.
Well, if the developer puts in.
Yeah, I think they could build that in.
They could just build
I just
it
don't
in.
know what the how much lag there's going to be between.
Oh, lag! Don't blame lag.
Well, yeah, actually, I wonder how that would work, because.
Well, so if you pull up your laptop Chrome browser and you cast that to a screen, there's definitely a delay. So
there's a delay, but not too bad.
Yeah, but if you're gaming, you need it to be instant. So.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to do just games.
Lag. Yeah.
Lag doesn't matter on video poker. But yeah, either way.
Well, yeah. So build in video poker, Chromecast, and you'll probably be just fine. I'm sure Google will try to optimize that as much as they can over the near future, so that maybe that someday gaming could be a possibility. Right now, I don't know.
What kind of radios does Chromecast have? It's just Wi-Fi, isn't it?
Just Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no Bluetooth.
Nope.
I think it's great that that $35 little device is getting more and more, desirable. It's a little beast.
Yeah. Well, the only issue is you couldn't really do something like gaming straight from you couldn't do that. There's latency.
Well, yeah. If they wanted to bump up the price to $50 and somehow make that a little bit better, then I'd be totally willing to pay. But it's only $35 little dongle. So
yeah, at this point, people should just be buying these things now that it's all opened up. It's going to get cool. There's going to be some sweet apps.
Oh yeah. And it was already cool in my book.
Yeah, after the last update or announcement from Google where they pushed out support for 10 new apps, it became instantly worth the $35. I use it with Plex all the time now, actually. Stream stuff.
Totally.
Yeah, totes.
Good old Plex.
So yeah, Chromecast. I'm sure we'll be writing them up regularly pretty soon. We had made some joke on Twitter the other day that your newsfeed will be filled with insert app has Chromecast support now because it's going to happen a lot. All right, I talked a little bit or did a quick video on Facebook Paper the other day. So Paper is Facebook's new sort of news reader, media consumption type of app, although you can sort of do mostly basic Facebook functionality like write posts, do photos, all that stuff. Anyway, it's iOS only, and I actually liked it. We'll get Ron. We'll let you weigh in on with your opinion on it too. But I sort of like the app because I think the app's well designed. Just the gestures and the touch interface and everything about it just moves really fast. It's really smooth, looks nice. You can consume a lot of content from categories. You don't necessarily have to deal with your timeline. Well, you do a little bit, but you can avoid it for the most part. And for me, I've been looking for an app that I can just blindly sort of consume news and sports and pop culture crap and funny things and all that stuff. And this app seems like a way that I could easily do that, except that it's not on Android, so I probably won't be using it. And we don't know if it's coming to Android. I don't know if they've made any sort of hint at it ever coming to Android, so this could be an iOS thing for all we know. But Ron, you said you played with it. What do you think about it?
I think it's decent. I think like you said, the big thing is being able to, if you're not using it like as basically a replacement for the Facebook app, which you could use it as. It's got notifications and all that junk in there, so it's got all that stuff in there. But it has the same limitations for that stuff that what was it called? Facebook Home had, where it's as good as the content that people are putting up. So when I first opened it, I had a horrible picture that somebody had posted up, and so that's like, so just front and center is just like, oh yeah, this is going to be severely limited by what my friends post up, and 90% of the time I really don't give a crap what they're posting. So
right.
If it was like my Twitter feed, that'd be different because a lot, that's filled with like stories and stuff that I actually care about. But Facebook can be anybody. It can be somebody that I haven't talked to in 10 years. Like there's just such a random collection of that. So for me, it's trying to find, if I wanted like find random news stories and stuff like that, and I haven't already visited yahoo.com, I'm opening up the Dig app. I think Dig does a really good job in their just little random story section of curating stuff that I want to read, or at least that I'm interested in a lot of times. So it's cool that Facebook is doing this. It's cool that Facebook's experimenting with this kind of thing, and in theory branching out and breaking off different parts of the Facebook experience into separate apps. We've seen them doing that they tried it with Poke, which I think has been a pretty big failure. They have the separate messages app and things like that. So they seem to be breaking more and more things off. As far as Android support goes, as far as I know, it's not coming anytime soon.
Probably not, no.
Because there's issues with APIs and things like that. So, which is like, and we saw that with Facebook Home, where they like rewrote a lot of the stuff just to get Facebook Home to work. Which is also why there was limited phone support when it first launched. So I doubt it'll come anytime soon.
So I just opened the app on my iPod Touch again, and I pulled the Facebook sort of card or whatever you want to call it, and just pulled it all the way to the right side. So it's like at the end of the line, mm-hmm. And then when you open it up, it doesn't automatically pull that up. It pulls up your first one. So you could essentially use it and avoid the nasty pictures of your friends on Yeah. So, but yeah, I liked it. I thought it was designed really well. But if it's not coming to Android, then I guess we probably don't really care about it much. So, good job, Facebook.
Totally.
You guys want to do some Q&A with
Q&A
with the crew?
Let's do it.
Got it up here. Yeah. So if you're listening live right now, we'll do some Q&A. So you can go to the event page. Assuming I could paste that in the chat like that. And, toss out some... Wait. Yeah, I think that's right. Toss out some questions, and we will look at them.
It looks like the first question is for Ron. Who is your daddy, and what does he do? That's not a question. I just love Arnold Schwarzenegger. But, yeah. Anyways.
I don't even see that one.
Well, because it doesn't exist. I made it up. But, Kellen, what do we got? Go for it.
Sorry, I'm looking through right now.
All right. Who is your daddy?
Who is your daddy? Somebody asked, where did that go? On AT&T's new family plans, if you're an existing customer, do you have to be off contract to switch? I don't believe so. I think let's see if I have the press release. No, I don't. Yes, I do. I believe it says savings for current AT&T customers. They can save big with these new plans too when they choose a 10 gigabyte or larger bucket of data. So that sounds to me like if you're on a family plan and you're under contract, as long as you switch over to a 10 gigabyte data bucket, they just automatically switch you over to this new pricing. That's what it sounds like. So you might want to confirm that obviously with a rep or something, but that's what the press release says anyway. Not a bad deal. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This one's interesting. I don't know if there is an answer to this. What can an Android OEM do to finally take Samsung's crown as the #1 Android OEM? Anyone want to take a stab at that?
Ron.
I don't know that there's anything anybody could do at this point.
Rename yourself to Apple.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like...
Get bought by Apple.
No. Even then you wouldn't do, so it's just... We've seen Microsoft try to do it and, try to become a third player, and they haven't. I think Sony is like in third overall in terms of sales and things like that, and they don't even have a real legitimate presence in the United States. I think we'll start to see some competition heat up worldwide as China continues to expand. So in terms of worldwide numbers, we might see one of those Chinese manufacturers kind of slip in there. But in terms of really competing with either one of those two, I mean, you'd have to have some sort of crazy differentiation that I don't think we've seen anybody do any kind of innovation like that.
What about Amazon?
Years.
We talked about them. What if they made a phone? Do they have any chance? The Kindles do well, I believe.
Kindles do well, and they continue to insist that the Fires sell well, although, like Google, they refuse to release any numbers, so who knows what the heck that even means.
Right.
If you look at distribution numbers, which are based on samples from marketers and advertisers, Amazon's devices are high in numbers compared to most other OEMs, but them doing a phone would be tricky because you can't, unless it got like Play Store certification, which is insanely unlikely. Like, people would have to buy new apps again, assume that they even have them on there. They'd have to license out services for like maps and things like that, which is that's the same problems that Samsung faces if they wanted to leave Google certification as well. So Amazon certainly has brand recognition that people like. I think that's why they've been successful in tablets. We continue to hear rumors they're doing a phone, but I don't see how they could possibly do a phone without Google certification. So
yeah, well, they have a pretty big user base on with their Fire tablets, so maybe they'll just obviously they don't want just Fire owners to own their phones if they created one, but they have apps through there, so they do have an app store. But I see what you're saying, where people have to rebuy everything.
It's that, and also getting services like mapping services, like they'd have to license that from somebody. They're not going to license it from Google.
Yeah, I mean, do they have? Is the I haven't used their store in forever. Is MapQuest on there and things like that? Do we know?
Yeah, maybe, but who wants to use MapQuest anymore? Like,
yeah,
so
no, I know. I'm just saying,
is
is there an option they could? Yeah,
possibly. Well, that's the thing. Is like they'd have to license out that data, so they'd have to get it from somebody like MapQuest, or they'd have to license it from Microsoft, or just Microsoft, because Microsoft bought Nokia. So I don't remember if they have
TomTom. TomTom will hook them up.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like, but no matter what that option is, and that's the same reason why I don't think Samsung will ever switch out. Like, they'd be stuck using somebody else's solution instead of using their own solution. And I think it's pretty clear from watching Jeff Bezos present and like the positions that they've taken on things. Like, they want to make really good products. They want to make really good products that are cheap, and they want to do it themselves. That's why they did the App Store, and then came out of nowhere with an Android fork and everything else like that. Like, they want to do their own things. I don't think Amazon necessarily wants to do mapping and things like that. They might, they could, and I mean, if there's anybody that I could see that could maybe break in, it probably would be Amazon, just because Jeff Bezos is a freaking genius and he figures things out that nobody else even tries to do. Amazon continues to barely make a profit, and their shares continue to soar. So I mean, they're doing great work. They've managed to sneak into the Android tablet side. They're a big player there, but yeah, in terms of somebody like taking Samsung's crown, like I don't think it's possible at this point.
Well,
It would
There's
take
such a
changing the
massive
game
lead,
in
yeah.
such a dramatic way. Like it's a leap.
Like
It's a leap
Samsung would have to
from
just
everywhere.
like exit. And then someone
Well, either
could just
Samsung would have to exit, which is next to impossible, or
Right.
somebody would have to make a huge innovation jump like Apple did with the iPhone. Like when you look at what smartphones were when the iPhone was introduced, like Jobs said they were 5 years ahead. Look at where look at where the iPhone was, and look at where Android phones were 5 years from now. Like that's what happened. Like that's the kind of
do you
innovation you
still
would need.
feel that iPhones are 5 years ahead of Android phones?
No, innovation
I
slowed
didn't.
down.
Because innovation slowed down.
Well, and that's the
From
thing.
from
and that's
Apple,
why
like-
I don't think anyone could create that next product that you're saying. I think we're so far down the road that it would be almost impossible for someone to create something that would be 5 years ahead again. You know,
Well,
Ron,
yeah, I mean, you
Ron
don't
just spoke
see-
the ultimate point, though. I mean, what? Okay, the question was, what can an Android OEM do to finally take Samsung's crown? The only thing that can stop Samsung is Samsung itself by stopping innovation. Just kind of coming out with the same old thing. I feel like the same thing happened with Apple. Apple created something that was completely revolutionary, totally innovative, and now it's still just kind of like being repeated and repeated and repeated. And as you can see, I mean, the share just goes down and down and down. I think the same thing would happen with Samsung, where if they...
Well, but that never happened, though. Like, Apple never had a majority share. Like that.
It's
that
not
never-
about having the majority share. It's just about being like the king. You know what I mean? And not just by numbers or anything like that, but just by
Right.
having like the best product on the market. And some would argue that Samsung has the best Android devices on the
Yeah.
market.
And that's always going to be subjective for people. But I think like it's clear right now. Like we've got a 2-horse race, right? Like it's
Yeah.
Android, which is basically Samsung, who the only ones making money, and Apple. That's it. So if somebody's going to break in, like it's going to have to be that kind of giant leap in innovation. And you don't see that. Like
Right.
like you see incremental things, and it's very, very difficult to innovate. That's why like when we'll see like you'll see analysts like claim like, oh, if Apple or Samsung or anybody doesn't like do like a huge innovative leap, then they're gonna fail. And it's like that stuff happens really rarely. Like it's insanely rare to see those kind of big jumps.
Right. And it's not going to be processor speeds or display
No,
resolutions.
because that's
we're
innovation,
talking
right?
about.
Like
Exactly.
those are small little incremental innovations. It's something
Exactly.
that changes the game. It changes the way you think about the product and the way you use it. Like
What if we have a phone that like flips, and then you could like put it in your pocket, like to kind of compact the size of it? Does that make sense?
The
I know
only
it
thing I
sounds
could
crazy,
see,
but
a technology that hasn't been used that somebody
We're
will
almost
probably
there.
adopt is Qualcomm and their Mirasol display. Now I don't know if anyone will ever adopt it, but it's the whole point of it is battery life. We talk about game-changing things. Battery life in phones lasts a day. Everyone has to charge a phone every day. If you put a Mirasol display in a phone and actually had people adopt it, and they could get the touch sensitivity and the color correct and all of that stuff, and it lasted like a week without charging it, things like that. Although I still don't know if that's big enough for
that's not
somebody
big.
to-
Yeah, like that's like it's one piece of it. And so we see
Yeah.
that, like we've seen that with the Macs, right? Where it's like, oh wow, I can have a phone that lasts me 2 days. That's insane. I haven't had that since a flip phone. Like
Right.
you see those little incremental jumps, but it's like what the iPhone did was we had phones that like you kind of had the internet on them, but not really. Like that was the big thing. Like, hey, you've got the full web in your pocket. It's slow because you're stuck with Edge, but when you're on Wi-Fi, it's great. You're getting the full web. And originally it was designed to just use web apps, right? And eventually they opened it up to the App Store, and then we saw Google take Android and turn it into something else and turn it into a real competitor there, and then they continue to advance. And we haven't seen anything that's really jumping. We're seeing Google try to do that with Glass, right?
Mhm.
So we're seeing them try to predict, okay, what's going to be the next thing? Because we're not always going to carry smartphones, or maybe we will, and it'll kind of be legacy like PCs are now, starting to become, where more and more you're doing most things on your phone. Not for everybody, but for a lot of people. We're starting to see that transition happen. What's going to be after phones? What's going to be the thing that we're going to be using regularly instead of a phone? And Google's trying to predict that and figure out what that's going to be. A lot of it's going to be services side. That's why Google's continuing to build that stuff out. We're seeing Microsoft ship that way as well. And Apple flail at trying to do that. So like it's trying to find that next big shift. That's how you beat Samsung. Like it's not making a better smartphone. It's not outselling them. It's making a better product that's in a different category that changes the game again.
So pretty much you're going to have to predict the future in
Yeah.
order to beat Samsung.
Yeah. Well, it's figuring out what people want before they know that they want it.
Before they know that they want it. Exactly. Thank you. I'm glad we don't have to argue about that.
Crazy. Let's see. Someone I know this is a quick one. Is the red Nexus 5 soft touch like the black one? So here's red Nexus 5. Look at that thing.
That's what she said.
So bright. So it is, I would say, soft touch-ish. It's definitely, the sides definitely aren't that glossy shininess that you get on the white one. The back feels soft, so if that's what you want to know.
So does it feel like a Nexus 5 or white Nexus 5 or black Nexus 5?
I would say it feels more like the white, so a little bit more slippery than the black, maybe. So not quite as sticky matte, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. It still feels good though, and at least it's red on the sides, unlike the white one that has
Red
black
is
on the
awesome.
side.
Yeah, but that's the best part of it.
Yeah, see, I don't like the black on the sides. I wish it was white up the sides. Just throwing that out there. All right, what else we got? There's actually a lot of questions in here.
Good.
Let's see. Tim, we'll let you answer this one.
Okay.
Will DL ever have a meet and greet?
Oh,
We're so
Jesus.
close. I bet I could drink Tim under the table.
Well, the funny thing about that is, actually, that's great that he brings that up because I recently posted on Google Plus, on the Droid Life Google Plus page, and also the Droid Life Facebook page, asking, hey, who's willing to give us, like a weekend night or a weekday night, and we could somehow put together a Droid Life meetup here in Portland, just because I don't think Kellen and I want to like travel around and try and arrange something out of town. That would just be sort of like it just wouldn't really work out too well.
Right.
So if you are interested in a meetup and you are listening to this, feel free to shoot either myself or Kellen an email and have whoever just say, attention Tato, we demand meetup in PDX area. And then I can say, Kellen, look, people actually want this. Ever since I first started talking to Kellen, I was like, dude, we need to do like Droid Life meetup.
Yeah.
And so I've always wanted to do one. I think it would be fantastic, and I would love to get Ron up here. I'd like to get Eric over here, and man, I want to get Pickles back. I want to get everybody. I want to get the whole gang. But yeah, so a DL meetup is definitely on the roadmap. Can't tell you when because I don't know, but hopefully soon. I would love for it to be in the first half of this year though.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I just have this fear that we would put something together and like 5 people would show up.
And that's why I've been trying to get out there and test the waters and ask people if they're interested. So if you are interested, you have to let us know so I can show Kellen that people want a DL meetup. And this could be totally awesome. We can have like sponsors, we can give away some phones and what have you. Like we can make this fun. You just have to make sure that we know that you want it to happen. So
yeah,
that's all there is
be
to it.
Specific when you're giving feedback. Like, don't just say like, yeah, I want to meet up, but I want it in like New York. Like, it's Portland area. That's the goal. So like, if you want it someplace else, that's nice. But like, looking for specific feedback for that area.
Yeah, specific feedback. I mean, if you know people who got the hooks on venues or anything to make our lives easier because we're a very small team, you just let us know and we'll try and make something work because I would love that.
And if you're not even in that area, but you at least like want to like make the trip out, if you want to do that, like then say that too.
Yes.
Yes, totally.
Exactly.
If you're interested at all, let us know, because I'm interested.
Let's see what else we got. Oh, there's one with an F-bomb in it. We'll skip that one.
Oh my God.
Well, somebody asked, is there any new information on the Pebble Steel? Not sure exactly what you mean, other than shipping are, believe late February, mid to late February. Some are shipping, some aren't. Like we ordered one the minute they went live, and ours hasn't shipped, but other people have already received theirs. So it's almost like Kickstarter all over again. I don't know when you're going to receive yours. As far as the app, we kind of talked about that earlier. It's coming. It's in. Developers can get it right now. They must just be working out a couple of bugs, and then the Android app will be out soon enough. So Pebble Steel's coming. We just don't know. It's a slow roll. They're not a big enough company where they can just mass produce like 200,000 units and then just ship them. They probably almost do them on demand, I would guess. Let's see what else. You guys see any other questions we can toss out real quick?
People are going crazy in the chat for a DL meetup, bro. Let's make it happen.
DL meetup.
Let's see. Blah 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 blah.
And no, we would not do it in Denny's.
Come on, they got conference rooms apparently.
I do not care. I spent way too many high school late nights in Denny's. I'm not going back for a while if I can help it. All right. Yeah. Any other last questions, or should we just do some apps now?
Yeah, we can just head to apps. I mean, one guy said, what do you guys want to see out of the next version of Android? Whatever Google thinks we need. That's the easiest thing I can say, because I never know what they're going to bring.
No.
Because they pretty much added the transparent bar, which is something I've wanted. They changed the look of it, and I'm happy with the white. Like, the white, man, KitKat goes with wallpaper so well because of that transparent bar. Like, it's so sexy. And so yeah, I don't know what I want. Google's usually the person to tell me. So that's all I can say for that.
Yeah, some of those predict the future things. I never know what Google's thinking, but usually when they do stuff, I tend to like it. It seems like. I know that sounds really terrible. Such a fanboy. Usually when they do stuff, though, I tend to like
I
it.
wish they could make it easier for OEMs to push new versions of Android out. Like, for example, I have.
But they are. I would say they are.
I have the G Flex, and this thing is running 4.2.
That's LG's fault, not Google's.
I'm not saying it's Google's fault. I'm just saying I wish it was easier for LG not to be such a scrub when it comes to like putting out new devices, because it's a G Flex, $300 on contract, and it's running Android 4.2. To me, in my eyes, that's unacceptable. And
well, I think Motorola set this terrible standard. Well, it's a good standard, but no one can match it because they release KitKat so quickly because they're running basically stock Android.
Right.
And all these other companies have, skins. Well, HTC did it pretty quickly. You have to give them some credit. But, LG and Samsung are still way behind. Who knows when they're going to release that thing. I think Google's done a decent job of making it easier to update. They pulled a lot of their apps and services out, Google Play services and all of that stuff. They've done they've done some big things to make it easier. It's up to these OEMs, and they're more interested in selling new phones rather than updating stuff, I think.
So sad.
Just a personal opinion on that.
Yeah. All right, so we can get into apps then.
All right, sweet.
The first app I want to talk about is a game, and it is called what?
What is this? I'm interested to hear this.
It's called Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay. And
this game was actually in my top 5 apps of of January. And the game is pretty simplistic. You play as Little Red Riding Hood, and your goal is to get to the end of a level. And the levels are kind of like puzzles in the sense where you start out at a level and there's spinning wheels, and you have to jump. And then once you're attached to that spinning wheel, the wheel's spinning around, and you have to time your jumps at the right time to collect apples and also dodge like shadow critters, and you have to reach the end of the level while saving a bunny rabbit and collecting apples. and all of that combined, it just makes for a very fun yet challenging game. The music is really creepy. There's like wolves howling in the background and stuff. Like, it's kind of a creepy game. And like whenever Little Red Riding Hood lets a bunny out or gets an apple, she does like a little snicker, like haha, F you shadow critters, and it's very creepy, but it's a great game. Indie developer, only 99 cents I believe on Google Play, and I'll get the link, I'll throw it down in there, but fun game. I like little indie games like that. You know what game I don't like is Flappy Wings or Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird.
Yeah, can't stand it.
I don't think anyone actually likes Flappy Bird.
I just don't like how mainstream it is now. Like, this game deserves no recognition. Like, Are you kidding me?
Did you see how much the developers make in a day?
50.
How much?
50,000.
Really? Because it's so popular now? Off of their little ads?
Because of the ads, yeah.
Revenue. From Rage ad tapping. But yeah.
50K a day on. That was like overnight pretty much, wasn't it? When did that app actually release? Has it been out for a while
Right
and
at
it just
the
gained
end
popularity
of
in the last
December. I don't know if it was available on iOS before, but I know that it was on Android like near the end of December.
Okay. Yeah, I only found out about it like this week or last week.
Oh,
last week is when it really blew up. But I think it was starting to gain some momentum the week before that. But it's been the last 3 weeks. It just kind of went crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's everywhere.
I mean, even I played it for a little bit, and I've avoided games like that, like Candy Crush.
Wow. This was on okay. So version 1.0 was on iOS in May.
Oh Jesus!
Really?
Yeah.
I like how apparently Android made it super popular. So how about that?
Well, yeah, because it didn't get really crazy popular until the last month, and if it's been on iOS for that long, I wonder what the cheap Android people taking free games and blowing them up.
I know.
It's like ads. I need to download this now.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Although it never did make me want to throw my phone. People kept saying that it makes them want to like break things.
No,
you guys ever
I
get
just,
that?
I just haven't installed
Well, because like you're tapping and you swear that you didn't tap on it, yet somehow the bird just jumps up and hits the top of a pipe, and you're just like, whatever. And yeah.
I've definitely heard of people like throwing controllers and breaking them when they're playing a game. So I can get
I've
that.
done that before.
Oh,
yeah.
I've done that plenty.
I've never done that.
Oh, dude.
I've definitely done
Call of Duty.
My brother has. I have not.
Call of Duty, though.
Oh, jeez.
All right, so I wrote up an app today called Crichton. It's an icon pack. Circular, it's round icons, which I'm a big fan of. And it's flat, also big trend. And pastel, sort of bright pastel, also a trend right now. There's no shadows. So if you're a shadow guy, which is the other big trend right now, no shadows. So anyways, it's I believe like $150. It comes with like 27 HD wallpapers, over 1,100 icons. Really, really nice icon pack if you're into circular, flat, pastel things. Anyway, it's really good. The other app I had, which I haven't written up yet, but I will tomorrow, it's called Slide Lock, and it is a lock screen replacement that it's actually pretty awesome. Although I was having some issues, I think, with it earlier, but now it seems to be working. Basically, obviously, lock screen replacement, it's every time you get a notification, it pops up and it sort of makes your screen come alive. And then you can swipe away notifications right there on the lock screen without pulling anything down. And if you swipe them to the right, I believe it opens them. And if you swipe them to the left, it just it makes the notification go away. You can do some pretty cool things with it, and it pulls in pictures from your contacts if they're emailing you and things like that. And you can also swipe to the left to open the camera and stuff like that. So it's actually a really cool app. It's free, and then there's an in-app purchase that unlocks some extra features for like $2.37, something random like that, $2.37. But anyway, it's called Slide Lock. Definitely worth a look if you want a lock screen replacement. It's a really simple app, but it's actually really nice. So I'll write that up tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet recommendation, bruh. I actually have another one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't notice it because it's not new in my app drawer. Eric, earlier this week, I believe it was yesterday, wrote up Holofication Nation, and it's these two developers that take popular apps and then kind of go through them, and they make sure that the UI follows like the Android guidelines. They just redo the app, apparently, which I didn't even know was possible. I mean, I guess you could retheme the app. I just don't think it would be like legal per se.
It's not.
Either way, I'm running one of those legal versions of Instagram, which the developers did through Holofication Nation.
Oh, are you using it? You are using that app?
Oh yeah, and I just kind of wanted to show off the changes. It's nothing too crazy, but what you can definitely tell is from on the bottom here, where it's more round on the regular Android version. This one's all squared off and looks a lot more like the iOS 7 version or like the iOS version.
Mm-hmm.
And not the same keys or like button things or whatever, but definitely has that blue tint and look to it. It has a more roboto text or like font going on. And I actually like it a lot. And I think it's great what they've done. And because these companies, they totally should be giving some love to the Android design guidelines. And so now that I know that the Instagram one is good, I'm going to download the Snapchat one. And I think I'm going to download another one which I wanted. I just can't remember what it was. But they're doing it for like a lot of the popular apps. And it may not be legal, Ron. But you know what? It looks cool, and you God bless those Android developers who give up their time.
I wonder if there's any chance it will help some of these big development places release new apps or updated apps or something like that. Because the Instagram app is terrible looking. When you look at the iOS version now,
it's gorgeous.
The Android version is so ugly. It just looks
not
old.
The problem with they did update the iOS one, and it is a lot better, but they still haven't updated the stupid icon.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And that drives me insane.
Wait, they totally redid with the flat UI and all that, and then they didn't change the icon?
Same icon. It drives me crazy.
All right, that's pretty bad. like I remember apps where it seemed like they were updating their icons before they were updating everything else.
Yeah, like you'd
Pushing out
see
an
apps
update.
doing that, which was nice. Like if you're doing like an early, like you can't get the whole thing redone or whatever. At least make it look nice on my home screen. But now I've just got this ugly Instagram icon that looks all skeuomorphic.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Morphic. This is just random topic now, but somebody just brought up that when you go into the Kit Kat Easter egg, why does it start off with like random numbers and letters? Does anyone know what those mean? Like I just went into my Moto X and I got a 1.
I wish I could
And
tell
somebody
you.
said they got an S.
Yeah, I've seen different.
Yeah, why
Thanks
is
for that.
does anyone know what that means? We should probably find that out.
Oh my god.
Are you checking now to see what yours is?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I'm on a G Flex, bro. I'm running 4.2.
Well, because like the Moto X had a different letter too, didn't it?
I'm on a G Flex, bro. What's that, Ron?
I said the Moto X had a different. Yeah, somebody in chat saying it had a 1.
Yeah, I just had a 1 on my Moto X.
Mine popped
Oh,
up
so
with
I have a
K.
K on my Nexus 5.
Yeah, K on Nexus 5. Is it the same on the devices, but different on other devices? Does that make sense?
I have no idea what that means.
Well, like, would it be a 1 on a Moto X and K's on Nexus 5 or something like that, you know?
Maybe. This guy said an S on his Droid Max, so I
What
don't
a
have a Droid
trip.
Max, so I can't test that theory.
Why would it be an S?
I can't even find... Oh, here we go. Software information.
Everyone's saying their Moto X has a 1.
Yeah.
I get this weird thing on my G Flex. I don't know what the heck that is.
That is a jelly bean.
Yeah.
That's a jet. I know. I'm just... Come on. Jeez.
Look, I haven't seen this thing in years.
It's been a while. I remember when we were playing with this at I.O. Like, we were like, look at the Easter egg. It's
Yeah.
been, like, way too long to be messing
Way
with
too.
that.
That was a long time ago. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before I go watch the end of the Blazer game?
Sounds like someone got fouled. No, I don't. I've been hearing it in the background. I forgot to turn my TV off.
Yeah, they're only up a couple.
Yeah. All right.
Sweet. Well, yeah, episode 48 in the books. We will. Let me check next week. I believe we'll
Thanks
be
for
back next
doing
week. We will be back next week, and I believe the week after that, and then we are headed to NYC. So have a little preview show or something maybe for the Galaxy S5 stuff, something like that.
And if you want a DL meetup, email us. Dang it.
Yes, if you want to do a
can't
DL
go to-
meetup, we would seriously do one. We just.
Yeah.
I just don't know how many people are in Portland or would come to Portland, but like Tim said, it would be probably a giant pain in the to try to host one in like New York or San Francisco or something, just because the travel. So we would do one in Portland, but we just want to make sure
People will come.
we know there's a lot of you out there, but I don't know that a lot of you would be willing to travel to Portland to hang out with us for a night. So I don't know, we'll figure it out. Anyways, let Tim know.
Yes.
So Eddie, thanks for joining us. We are out of here. Peace.
Peace.